Let's do this. Okay. Elton and I were just talking the other day that, well, the kids were napping. Holland was napping and Navy was in room time. He does a room time every day. And we were just standing at the kitchen counter on our computers working, trying to figure out our schedules. And we were laughing because nothing in our life really is consistent. So every week changes, and we're both working from home. And I don't know if any of you have kids, but I remember thinking, oh, we work from home. This will be great. We have kids and we're going to homeschool eventually, and it'll be easy. But that's absolutely not the reality. It means that one of us is working at a time while the other one is doing school or playing or whatever. And we're trying to be as intentional as we can around our boys not to be working at the same time or on our phones or anything like that. So it's definitely tricky, but nothing is consistent. So today our schedule looks like Alta's at home with the boys, and Navy and a friend who lives nearby, they do a weekly homeschool morning, and she's bringing her mum. Her mum's bringing her, and so they hang out, do school, and so today that's what's happening at the house. I didn't get as early a start as I'd hoped because we decided last night it made way more sense for me to watch the boys for a couple hours this morning. So Alta got up early, crushed a couple hours of emails and booking and stuff. We have a coffee catering business, and we have some giant events coming up. And so Alta's the boss. She is always working with our clients. And so finally on the road, I got a faucet in the back, a big, nice faucet that's going to go in the shower room at the Poolhouse. Some plumbing stuff, all of those things. And so I got some running around to do today. We have a chai company that we manufacture and ship out a chai tea latte mix. So I got to go do some fulfillment of that today. So all of the things running around. But first, I'm heading to the Poolhouse, and I thought I would give you my 1 month update on what it's been like being a GC, general contractor, on this project, self-GCing. So after a month of being a self-GC, what a couple takeaways are. And I'm still learning this as we go because there's a lot to learn. But depending on where you live, if it's your home, you can self-GC the project. Typically, when you do a home renovation or a build or something like that, you hire a general contractor, a GC, and then they sub out the work and stuff like that. But you're essentially paying one person. And I have a couple buddies who are GCs, and so I've kind of been around that world a little bit. And after getting bids from different GCs, leading up to this project, and also having spoken to some GCs who were very generous with their knowledge, saying, honestly, for your budget, I'm not sure that you could afford me, saying things like that. Basically to find out that a GC a lot of the time is taking, I don't know, and maybe this is a blanket number, is taking like 20%, 25% off the top, so if you have $100,000 in your budget, you hire a GC, 25 grand of that's just going to the GC. At first it feels like, oh, what are they doing? Are they just taking 25 grand? But I'm realizing that a GC does do a lot. You're scheduling the trades, you're finding the electricians, you're finding the plumbers, you're getting the framing crew, and honestly, I'm feeling like the biggest role of a GC right now is timing, getting your timing to work out. And somehow it's been a miracle and it's worked out great. We demoed for about a week and a half, got the house cleared out and prepped, and then I was able to get the framing crew to come in who just finished up. They were in for about 5 or 6 days. And then in the meantime, I was in talks with the electricians and the plumbers, so they all like came during the time the framers were in to check out the project and get me bids and all of that kind of stuff. Back and forth with phone calls to the inspectors for the city to double check things like, do I have to actually do that the plumber is saying, and finding all of those things out that you can't necessarily always trust the contractor who you're hiring to necessarily know everything or even be, you know, trying to upsell you something. So for example, the electricians, the original bid was going to be probably like 18 grand or something. And I called and double checked on some things about can some of these things be grandfathered in, or do we have to bring it fully up to current code, yada, yada, yada. A lot of details that are still yet to be decided. The inspector said, no, you don't have to do that, which ended up saving about 8 grand on the bid. We'll see if we get that same inspector. So I'm going into it thinking, well, there's a chance the inspector that comes by for the electrical maybe wants us to do something different. So that's up in the air, praying for the right inspector to come so that we can save that money. But so that's an example of me taking a phone call to save some money, whereas I'm realizing a lot of, you know, people would just pay a lump sum to the GC and just trust them to do their thing. And I'm guessing this would maybe be a $200,000 renovation if we weren't doing it ourselves. So getting trades figured out is like the one thing. So a lot of questions of friends who have worked with people, trying to find the right people, good people, quick people, and then figuring out the timing. But I'm also buying all the supplies and the lumber and getting deliveries and all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, where we're at right now, the lumber is pretty much done. We've done framing. We actually got the deck built already because our framers had a couple extra days. And then the electricians are there now, so I'm going to pop in today and see what happens. Also, that's another thing I'm realizing. It's nice to be around because, you know, even when the framers were working, they had questions and they were going to do things not quite the way I needed them to be done. And then so I would come by and they would clarify measurements and clarify locations of things. And that was a very important thing to make sure that was being done. So right now the electricians are working. This is their 3rd day in there, I think. So I'm hoping that everything is kind of getting wrapped up today, and then the plumbers come in on Friday. But because I'm also getting supplies and also prepping for all of these people, my one job today that I have to do, I'm going to a rental place to rent a jackhammer, and I need to bust up some concrete in the bathroom on the lower level, which is going to be where the shower room is, because there was a tub in there that you saw me pull out on the previous video. However, a P-trap from a tub is 1.5 inch PVC, and code says that a shower needs to be 2 inch. So unfortunately, I can't just upsize from that. I need to bust up the concrete, which I would have had to do anyway to get the new drain in for the new shower. But I have to bust it up back to where there was 2 inch or 3 inch and go from there. So there is a patch in the concrete that looks like maybe they had fixed something before. So I'm guessing that's where the 3 inch or 2 inch is. So please send prayers that I find 3 inch right there. So I have to bust that up today and prep for them to come in on Friday. So I have to knock out the concrete. I asked for a bid for them just to do the work and also a bid for them to do the concrete, and it was an extra $1,500. for the plumbers to do the concrete work. So if I can go do that today and just prep that. I've done it before. We've cut to a slab and added a bathroom in our previous house. So I know it can be done. So if I can do that in a day and save $1,500, that's kind of nice. So I got to do that. I also have to set the tub because the tub has to be in place for the plumbers, because for the plumbing inspection they have to fill it half full so that they can pass a pressure test, I guess. So I have to set that. You got to put a mortar bed down and get it level and all of that kind of stuff. So I got to stop at Lowe's and get a laser level and some shims and all of that stuff. So 30 days into being a GC, and whether you need to hire a GC or if you can save a ton of money self-GCing your project, stay tuned and please subscribe to our channel if you want to follow along. It's the first time I've said that.